Hi there, viewers. Thank you for joining the live chat session. Warm welcome to all of you. It's always good to be with you in these live chats. Three main topics for today's live chat. We'll have a look at these three topics after a few moments. Let me welcome the participants who have joined the live chat session so far. John Spencer says, "Hello, how are you, John? Be better," says, "We are uh, waiting, Sajid. Let's go." Now, home architects joined too from Addis Ababa. Three main topics include one from the Amhara region. Iskander Naga talked to the BBC. Uh, he's accessible to the international news outlets. By the way, these Fano commanders appear in audio interviews on national and international news outlets. But government cannot trace them. That speaks volumes of the mobility of these Fano commanders, that they are operating quite freely in the Amhara region. Communications can be intercepted. Either the Ethiopian intelligence agency lacks the required capabilities to intercept communications, or maybe these commanders are smarter than the security forces, the intelligence agency. Now, T is talking about genocide. That why are you ignoring genocide in Tigray? Whenever I make videos, start live chat, these people start chanting about genocide. What should I do? I don't block people from commenting. By the way, My Vision News is the only YouTube channel covering Ethiopia where viewers can express themselves freely in comment section, because other channels comment section are heavily censored. Only pro channel comments are allowed, others are deleted. But in my channel's comment section, everyone is allowed to speak. That is why people sometimes just start spreading their own agendas, and sometimes people start a campaign telling others to unsubscribe in the comment section of My Views and News. Still, I tolerate them. So some people from TPLF looks like they have a gun to my head, and they want me to say that yes, genocide was committed in Tigray. Why are you ignoring it? Come on, this is not how uh, your viewpoint is expressed. Learn from how others express their views, accept others, express yourself too, listen to others too. So, first news story about Skander. Skander made some very important points in his interview with the BBC. Secondly, Sophatus Mariam, Eritrean representative at the UN, delivered a speech at General Assembly. What did she say? And lastly, Somalia's foreign minister has made some important remarks in his talk with Somalis in Minnesota, US. I mentioned a few points in a video yesterday, two more points in today's live chat. Lilo joined to Dark Star says, "Greetings, Sajid. Do you think Abiy still wants to dismantle ethnic federalism?" Well, I'll do a video on that. What does Abiy want? In short, Abiy wants a system, whether ethnic federalism, centralized setup, whatever it is. He wants a system which would consolidate his power, which would enhance his powers, and crush opposition, no matter what the system is. Orom Ticha joined too, member of the channel. Warm welcome to you, Orom Ticha. Chief of Hamasian joined as well. Drum. Now let's start with the first news story about Iskander. Iskander talked to the BBC, as I said earlier, accessible to international media but untraceable for the Ethiopian security forces intelligence agency. Iskander changed his position. I did a video on that a few hours ago. In his audio message around 2 to 3 weeks ago, he said talks should be held and talks are part of such resistance movements, and that after the formation of a Amhara representative committee, talks should start. But he changed his position a little. I think he came under pressure after his first audio clip 3 weeks ago. Now he's saying that farm groups are reorganizing themselves. After that, they'll meet and then they'll decide what to do. And they will decide whether talks should be held or not. So he backtracked a little. He made some claims which I want to talk about. First, he said that 80 to 90% of Amhara region is being controlled by Fano fighters. 80 to 90%. Ereg Kabede, the Amhara region's president, last month said that 97% of Amhara region was under government control. Who is lying? Who is telling the truth? People say, Sajid, you accuse Ethiopian leaders of lying. You are disrespectful to Ethiopian leadership. Now, could you guide me? Who is telling the truth? Iskander or the other one, Ereg Kabede? Obviously, one of them is lying. Who is lying? I said Getachew lied when he said his fighters were withdrawing. People said, Sajid, you are against TPLF, against Tigray. Getachew did not lie. But I told you that his militia members were still there in Tigray. He lied. And then when Ereg Kabede spoke, I said he was lying too. 97% of Amhara was not under government control. Now it seems it's Iskander's turn. Iskander is also exaggerating. Lying, exaggerating. Obviously, 80 to 90% of Amhara is not under farm. That is a serious exaggeration, firstly. Secondly, Iskander made the claims being made by TPLF activists that genocide of Amharas is being committed. He said that systematic genocide of Amharas is being committed. Tigrayan say the genocide is being committed. So I don't know. And Oromo say that too as well, by the way. Ola says that Oromos are being killed, imprisoned, and a systematic campaign is underway against Oromos. So, second point he made is systematic genocide of Amharas. Thirdly, very importantly, he said that he was asked about solution. What is the solution? What should be done? He said that the problem emanates from the foundation, the constitution, which should be changed. There should be changes to the constitution. For that, definitely, talks should be had. Now, other Fano, let's try to understand what Fano groups are saying, Fano commanders are saying. Other Fano commanders agree on one point. They say, remove the government first. Remove the Prime Minister of Ethiopia first. They're not talking about constitutional change. They want the removal of this government. And then maybe talks can be held with other parties to maybe talks about constitution can be held as well. Skander did not say that the talks cannot be held with this government. So still he is taking a different position, though he toned down his position a little in support of other Fano groups. But Skander seems to be clear. Other Fano commanders are not clear about the future strategy. Skander is saying, yeah, that constitution should be amended, and for that, definitely talks should be held. Who can amend the constitution? Obviously, lawmakers. I mean, a common Ethiopian cannot amend constitution. Representatives, people representatives can amend the constitution, or referendum can be held. These Fano groups are not in the government. They have no representation. Those who are in power, they are not seen as Fano representatives. How will they change the constitution? It means that government should agree to relinquish its authority. It should not join as government in talks. It should join as a party like all other parties. All should sit. High power talk should be held. And then the decisions, the recommendations should be binding on all parties. This is what Skander wants, it seems. A national dialogue. True national dialogue. Not the type of national dialogue which is being launched by which has been launched by the government for the last 1 year or so, or which is just the prosperity party talking to prosperity party. There are no opposition groups, so there are no armed groups, there are no opposition parties part of the national dialogue. This is what Skander wants, clarity on Skander's side. Skander believes that maybe through these military operations, force pressure can be exerted on the government. Government will come to the table and then talks will be held. By the way, any signs of this scenario? No. I don't see it happening in coming days, weeks, months. Not sure about years. Other Fano commanders think that militarily they will remove the prime minister. They'll remove the government. They'll come to Addis Ababa. They'll capture Bahida, and then they can talk. They'll be the main player then, and then they can form alliance with others, and that's how they can bring about change. Abe Creo says there is no genocide in any part of Ethiopia. This is defamation, propaganda against the democratically elected government of Ethiopia. Well, I disagree with one point of your comment. Democratically elected government. PM Abiy imprisoned his opponents, political opponents. He held election. He ran almost unopposed. PP against PP. That is how he was elected. That is not our true democracies. EPLF was not part of, EPLF was not in election process. No ONLF, I think. No OLF. No OFC. No Balderas. This is how he was elected. So and I think international community refused to send observers to monitor the election. But problem is that Abiy managed to consolidate his power. International community has very limited options. That is why he was accepted. What was your question, Eritrea, Pearl of Red Sea? He says, you ignored my question. He says, what other option does Eritrea have except extending national service if it is under constant foreign threat? Hailey says, hi Sajid, any person who is watching this channel should give a like before giving any comment. Well, it's up to the people. I don't ask people to give likes or shares. That's up to them. Uh, Eritrea, Pearl of Red Sea, when will this perceived foreign threat cease to exist? When entire Eritrean population will flee the country. I mean, don't you think that this foreign threat is used by the government to cover up its poor performance? If sanctions were imposed in Eritrea, who is responsible? Obviously, those who impose the sanctions, but isn't it a failure of the government? If economy suffered, who is responsible? If Eritrea could not handle its foreign threats diplomatically, who is responsible? If there is no prosperity, who is responsible? I mean, indefinite national service is no solution. Linking education and military training is not a solution. Yes, Eritrea is smaller compared with Ethiopia. But what threat is being faced by Eritrea now? What happened in the last almost 2 years after the signing of Pretoria? Did you see any major moves by Eritrea to open its economy, to steer the country towards real change? Same things happen. This foreign threat is sometimes used as a way of covering up of the performance of the government, I believe. Yeah, thank you, Haile. I like your opinion. Brian Ipsa joined to be better, says Sajid. Pro Skander forces are in thousands in Gujam. Not pro Skander, Fano forces, you can say. Skander is now mainly based in Show, I think. Now, with second news story, Sophia the Sumerian, the Eritrean representative at the UN, delivered a speech at the General Assembly yesterday. Sophia called for the lifting of unilateral coercive measures in sanctions imposed on Eritrea, not just on Eritrea, but on other countries too, on Cuba, etc. And she called for damages too, that the countries which suffered under these sanctions should be given damages. And she said that Eritrea was removed from SWIFT, international banking network, and this month, EU extended sanctions on Eritrea. So she showed solidarity with all the countries which have been under sanction, which are under sanctions, and she reiterated Eritrean position that sanctions are used by global powers to achieve their geopolitical objectives. So Eritrea is calling for lifting of sanctions, but will sanctions be lifted? Should sanctions on Eritrea be lifted? And by the way, did the EU, US gain anything from putting Eritrea under sanctions? I mean, the government could not be removed. The party, PFDJ, could not be weakened. The military could not be weakened. Eritrean regional reach uh, could not decrease. Rather, Eritrea expanded its regional reach. Economically, Eritrea suffered. It means people of Eritrea suffered. I think West and US will have to review their policy of sanctions. This policy made the people of Eritrea suffer. Eritrean government, Eritrean military, ruling elite, did they suffer? No. Pushing these countries into isolation by announcing sanctions maybe is not producing the desired results. Abdi Farah, I heard about this MOU between Norway and Somalia. Let me find all the details and the impact of this MOU, then I'll do a video on that. By the way, just a few minutes ago, I wrote an article on newseddish.com. Somalia is in the process of organizing a strong army. 4 specialized commands have been created in SNA, Somali National Army. You can read the article on newseddish.com in Somalia. On daily basis, I am adding articles in Somalia, Eritrea, Ethiopia categories. Opinion section is for you viewers. The viewers are sending articles to me through to my Gmail. I am uploading the articles in opinion section. But other 3 sections, Somalia, Ethiopia, Eritrea, I am writing articles on daily basis. Sarah helps me a lot. So I want to ensure that all major developments, daily developments are covered on newseddish.com in the form of articles written there. Do read the article about 4 new specialized commands being established. Somalia on its way to establish modern military. Obviously, it won't happen overnight. It will take some time, but they're on their way, it seems. Eva join. How are you, Eva? Horn analyst join too. Horn analyst says, I think it's better to sanction the regime like Eritrea to bring regime change in Eritrea, unless whole region. Well, it did not work. It did not work. Sanctions imposed years ago. It didn't work. No regime change. That is why I think policy should be reviewed, I think. University Abreha join. How are you, University Abreha? Member 2, special member. Special welcome to University Abreha. University Abreha, Rom teacher, 2 members today in today's live chat we have. If you want to be a member, click the link given in description section of this live chat. In videos, description sections too, I give the link, which will take you to membership page. Now, lastly, viewers, Orom teacher says Sajid Jr., the son of Sajid, is training Brigadier Nihamido. That's why Sajid Sr. is against Eritrea. My vision news. Yini Muzuka joined too, a 3rd member. Welcome, Yini. I'm not against anyone, believe me. I don't want to just repeat it, but I'm not against anyone. But agenda selection is independent. No one can influence that. And by the way, some of my longtime friends, they sometimes get angry and they cut off ties with me because when they try to influence the agenda setting, I say no. You can share information with me, but you won't decide what should be reported in my views and news. Sometimes people are not happy with that, but most of my friends, my brothers, I would say, in touch with me for years, they now understand that agenda setting is purely in the hands of my views and news. Lastly, viewers, Somalia, Ahmed Fiki, Somalia's foreign minister, making some big announcements. 2 important announcements he made in his talk with Minnesota Somalis. What did he say? Firstly, He said that Somalia won't engage Somaliland now. Government. Somalia won't talk to Somaliland government. It is a policy. Just like Somalia won't talk to Ethiopia. It's an official policy as well. The other part of this policy is that there will be no direct talks between Somalia and Somaliland. But Somalia will engage groups and individuals in Somaliland. That is why he offered that Odal state, SSC Khartoum controlled areas, and others can be recognized as federal member states. He might make these offers to other groups too in Somaliland. Basically, he's saying that he will create splits in Somaliland. He won't talk to the government. He can talk to people or groups. Secondly, he reiterated a very dangerous position, which he took a few months ago. He said, this is holy war. This is going to be a holy war for Muslims. Ethiopia wants to impose Christianity. Muslims should unite. It's for the protection of Muslim religion that all Somalis, all Muslims should unite and support Somalia's government. Again, a very dangerous narrative because it's not Muslim versus non-Muslim. It's a purely geopolitical conflict. It's a regional issue. Religion has nothing to do with that. Ethiopia agreeing to Qatar's mediation. Qatar is a Muslim country. So if Ethiopia wants to impose Christianity through this MOU, why would it agree to Qatar's mediation? So Ahmed Fiqi, the man, I think, wants to use whatever he has at his disposal to stop Ethiopia from implementing the MOU. Dangerous narrative is being launched. Dangerous moves by Ahmed Fiqi. He obviously has the backing of Somalia's government. And if Ethiopia makes progress, which is happening to implement the MOU, I think we could see more such statements, actions by Somalia's government to stop the MOU. Thank you, Unimusica. He was worried about war in Tigray. And no, there is no likelihood of any new war in Tigray. There's no appetite for war in Tigray. Just don't believe whatever is being said by people, by news outlets. Sometimes they have poor analytical skills, sometimes they have wrong intelligence, and sometimes they just make up things for views. Otherwise, no war is coming to Tigray. Mythiko says, Sajid, keep it up. Do not listen to some silly comments. Thank you, Mythiko. Abdi Farah says, I don't like SSC. Somaliland is one nation. We don't like it. Move on. The land is Somaliland. Chief of Hamasian says, is Somalia pulling the jihad card? Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Alim joined late today. We're about to close the live chat, Alim. Horn says, if Ethiopian troops leave Somalia, what will be the impact? Well, they won't leave, firstly, because two states have opposed the withdrawal of Ethiopian troops. Jubaland and Southwest have issued statements. So the troops part of African Union mission might leave, but they'll stay in Jubaland and in Southwest state. Main concern for Ethiopia is that it wants to keep Al Shabaab away from its borders. It wants to have its presence close to the border areas in Somalia. That is why the troops are there in Jubaland, southwest state. If Ethiopian troops are removed from Atbis, maybe it won't be a problem for Ethiopia. Thank you, Lilo. Well, 31 minutes have passed. I think we should end the live chat session. We covered three stories today. First was about Skandar Naga, who is calling for fundamental change in Ethiopia, constitutional change, amendment to constitution, which obviously can be done through legislation, through referendum by lawmakers. Kandar is clear what should happen. Our other Fano command is clear too. Secondly, Sophitas Samarium, Eritrean representative, the UN is calling for lifting of sanctions on Eritrea. Thirdly, Ahmed Fiki, Somalia's foreign minister, is taking some dangerous decisions, adopting some dangerous tactics to stop Ethiopia from implementing the MOU. Eritrea, what I said about Skandar is what he said in his talk with the BBC. You can you can read the BBC's report, or I think you can hear Skandar's words too. Short interview of a few minutes. I don't know if you have watched the BBC program or not. So thank you for joining the live chat session. I think we should end this live chat. I'll be back tomorrow. Thank you for taking time out, for tolerating me for 34 minutes. I'll be back tomorrow. Stay blessed. Bye bye.